Shakespeare's Hamlet. Yorick's skull, a la Shmoop. Who is Yorick, and why is Hamlet so obsessed with his skull?
So Yorick is this court jester that Hamlet knew when he was a kid. And now he's encountering his skull, holding him up and kind of like speaking to the skull, right, about the nature of death and how we're all going to end in death. And in some ways this is a classic clown moment because the jesters are always about drawing our attention to the vanity of our contemporary concerns, right? Mm-hmm. They're always kind of saying, like, you take yourself so seriously, mm-hmm. but actually you're a fool just like I'm a fool. Or like, you take yourself so seriously, but soon you're gonna be dead. And here, Hamlet is showing kind of the other side of it where he's talking to the jester and thinking of it not as a comic moment, but as a legitimately tragic one. So we can think about him kind of looking into the skull as a classic conflict between these two ways of dealing with the inevitability of death, either by kind of like taking a kind of stoic distance and like maybe even having fun, or like really feeling like your whole life is determined by death in some important way.
Why does Hamlet compare Yorick to Alexander the Great?
So he says that like Alexander the Great and Yorick are both going to return to dust, right? So it's again about the vanity of thinking that you have more of a name or less of a name. But this idea that we're kind of recuperating all the people who died, who weren't seen as being as important, and actually thinking about how their life is as important, as substantial as any political leaders.
What purpose does the gravedigger serve during this scene?
So the gravedigger is there also as a kind of bumbling clown figure, reminding us of how different life in the castle is from life everywhere else. So whereas they're all kind of obsessed with this infighting, there's a gravedigger who's actually just like earning his wage. So again, like the contrast between Yorick and Alexander the Great, we have this contrast between Hamlet and the gravedigger, and we're kind of challenged to think about whether or not their stories have equal importance, mm-hmm. right? Whether the comic has equal weight as the tragic. Mm-hmm. Because the gravedigger, again, is this comic figure like Yorick being contrasted with the tragic figure of Hamlet.
Who is Yorick, and why is Hamlet so obsessed with his skull? Why does Hamlet compare Yorick to Alexander the Great? What purpose does the gravedigger serve during this scene?